There's 2 people here. Winters, damn, that thumbnail looks sweet. Thank you very much. Good job. I'll show you these a bit closer up, actually. If you can see them. Let's get a focused in. Or not, as the case may be. Somewhere back here is probably the better place, at least, I guess. So yeah, what I've done is basically I went back after the other day and just resprayed them in the what do you call it, middle stone is the color I was using, and then went back as well and resprayed in the what do you call it, in the green and the brown, reflective green and chocolate brown. It was. They were the things. I also worked out what has been going on with my airbrush for the last few weeks as well. I'll show you that as we're all here now. Or some of us are anyway. So, evening, Kevin. Yep, up and running this time. I knew what the problem was. Almost not running because I've just been trying to work out my new Wi-Fi extender. It's still not really working properly, and I'm not sure why. It's going to take a bit longer than 10 minutes to sort it out, so that's for tomorrow. So the problem that I had with this is that I had a tiny little O-ring, and what had happened was when I'd stripped it ages ago to clean it, this little piece of rubber that you can see in here had actually come out, and I wasn't sure where it had come from when I stripped the airbrush to clean it properly a while back. And what I did in my lack of knowledge of airbrushes is I looked at the instructions, and it said that there was an O-ring on here, right on the nozzle itself. So I pull it over there, but the problem is what it did was it was too big. There's actually already one on there. You probably can't see it, but there is an O-ring on there. Oh, you can see it now. It's nice and sharp. It was sharp. And the problem was I put this on, and it pushed the nozzle ever so literally about not even half a millimeter forward. And what happened with that is it meant that it wasn't actually spraying at all. So basically I had an airbrush that just wasn't doing anything for me. So I tried it out, fixed it up, swapped it over, worked out where everything went, and the thing works like a dream now. So I'm going to be using the airbrush a lot more in future, but not tonight, because tonight we've got other things to do. So I'm going to just got that out for a second just to show that it was happening, what had happened, the ongoing drama of the airbrush. Don't be frightened of these things. You know, you just have to get used to them. That's all it is. That's what I reckon anyway. And I will get used to it at some point. And the thing is, that one's got a smaller nozzle on it than the other one, than this one. This one's good for doing big sprays because it's got quite a wide nozzle on it, but it's not very good for doing things like the camo on those, because I wanted it quite thin and small. So you got it there. So I don't know if you can see, but yeah, a few other things were happening as well when I was spraying these. First time round was that they were getting what's called spidering, where the spray is actually too thin. The paint is too thin for the airbrush, so it just basically forces loads of it out, and it splays out in a spidery kind of pattern. So I've done a little bit more work on these since yesterday. So what I've done is I've painted them up, and I've also added Agrax Earthshade to the actual vehicles themselves. a really watered down version though of it. And I've also added Agrax Earthshade neat onto the interior, the seats on the interior, and also onto the stowage and stuff as well. Now I could highlight it, but I'm not going to bother. There's literally no point. I can't really be bothered with that. It looks good as it is. I don't care. And also I've painted the tracks as well, as you can probably see. And the way I've done that is I painted them in black, which I did the other night. So I just had to go back over that once I'd sprayed them. And then I used this stuff here, which is Florey's Model Washers, floreymodels.co.uk, and this is a clay wash. It's nice and thick, and it goes on interestingly. It looks weird when it goes on. It looks really bright, but then when it dries, it looks like the tracks that you can see on the front of this one and on this one here. So basically what I did, I painted them black originally, then I painted oily steel over the top in quite sloppily, just over the top, and then I painted the rust over the top of that and let it dry, and then they've dried like that, and that's pretty much how they look. And I'm going to leave those as they are. They'll get a bit of weathering in a bit, because that's what we're going to do next. The other thing I've also done is I finished off the bases as well quickly, just because I wanted to get them done. Very simple. I just added the our Vallejo earth texture onto the rest of the base, and then once that was dry, after 24 hours, I just added PVA and static grass, and that's it. That's the base done. I might put some tufts on there when the vehicles are actually stuck down onto the bases, just so I know where the vehicles are going to go before I put any tufts on. But they're basically ready to go. They're done. So I'm not actually going to do any highlighting here, but what I want to do is I want to add some things like some weathering powders, just to give it a little bit of a dusty colour, and some rust as well. Now I've got these that I use, which are, I think, the Revell ones. So I've got some rust. You can get these from everywhere. There's white if you need that, dark brown. It's quite subtle, but it is quite a nice look. That one's deep black. So we've got in here, we've got mud green, which is a good one to jam up bits and pieces of areas. And these just go on dry, really. And you just put them on where you want to with a brush. And they will adhere to it. You're supposed to use some kind of fixative. I generally don't. But it does kind of break down once you varnish them. And they are pretty messy as well, these things. But when I can find my... So what I want to do first of all is just put down some paper, because if this stuff gets onto the workbench, and I know it's dirty already before you start, it then becomes it smears everywhere and literally goes all over your hands and stuff. So I don't want that to happen. So first of all, I'm just going to use some rust here. As I say, they're literally just powders. You can get these for anywhere. Do these like AK or Vallejo or everybody and anybody, pretty much. They're usually used in larger scale modeling than this kind of thing, but I want to use them in this for now. So I'm just going to really put some rust in down in the corners, just to pick out a few corners here and there, just bits where you get chips and stuff normally. In 15mm, I generally don't put chips and dinks and stuff like that on, because you wouldn't really see it. I've seen some people do it. What's he called? Piers Brand. He does a lot of chipping on his vehicles, and in 15mm, I just think it's just the size of a chip. To be able to see it on a 15mm figure would be, probably about that big in real life. So it'd be as though it's been hit by, I don't know, sandblasting rather than actually chipping. But obviously where chips appear, you also get rust as well. So I'm kind of just doing little bits and pieces so you can see just some of it, just to bring out some of the shapes of the vehicle itself, just where water would collect and where you'd get wearing of of paint naturally, really. So that's, as I say, these they can be a bit mucky. Hey dude, hey Fred Richards, how are you doing on this nice Friday evening? So I'm going to do this with all of these, so as you can kind of see there, just where I've put it in just below the vision slits on that one. I don't know if you can get a good look at that. Working away on my angry peasant mob. Good stuff. Good to hear it. There we are. So I'm just going to work my way through all of these with the rust. I said I want to go too crazy with this. I'll also, you might notice as well, I've also put decals on these. I just put some various random numbered decals on because they're not for a particular unit or anything. So I just wanted them to have something on them. Yeah, weathering pigments, that's right. This one's a rust. Just to bring out some of the shape of the vehicles. And around, like I said, the vision ports and things. Weathering is one of those things where you can never have too much and you can never have too little. It's really entirely up to the person that's doing it. You need to use them more. You bought a brunch from Secret Weapon. Yeah, they're very good. I use them a lot on larger scale models. I've only kind of started using them on 15mm just because I've only had them recently, and most of my 15mm stuff I painted a long time ago. But they're just there to highlight various bits and pieces of the vehicles and make them look lived in and used, and that's the main thing. So now we've got the one with the Pack 37 on it. Just do bits and pieces around there where you would again just get dinks from it passing through places. I wasn't planning on doing on a live feed tonight, but I kind of wanted to get these done, and it's an excuse to paint if I'm at least online doing something and talking rubbish and painting things with people. That's the idea. You've been playing with glazes. Glazes is something I've never really tried. It's just kind of thin paint, isn't it? As far as I'm aware. Yeah, I've never tried it myself. Some people get good results for it. The thing with painting is it goes through a lot of different fashions. Like, I think a lot of the Warhammer 40k crowd are doing a lot of glazing at the moment. Don't know where it's come from, but they seem to like it, and they do get some good results. But I paint for the tabletop, not for competitions, and that's the main thing. So I cut a lot of corners when it comes to my painting. But just sometimes, you know, it's nice to go that little bit extra with the occasional vehicle and things. And also, I mean, these ones, these are being painted really as a bit of an experiment how to use the airbrush. That's the idea behind it. So I can teach myself how to airbrush properly. Right, so I think that's the rust done for those. I don't want to do too much, just enough to make them look weathered. Get that stuff off. So I need another brush now. I need a clean brush because the problem is as soon as you get a wet brush on it, the stuff starts to clump, and that's the problem. Can we see all right in the light? That's another question. Is the light good enough? I can move it a bit further forward. We've got 12 people on at the moment and everybody's pretty quiet. Do say hello if you're there. Don't make me feel like I'm alone here. Just say, Fred, you can use that for a nice rust build-up effect. Yeah. Oh, well, the glazers, I guess that is. So this is the next one. This is just mud. And again, you would put this normally in places where there would be, you guessed it, mud. So I'm kind of just going to put some of this. I'm going to come back anyway and dry brush khaki over the top of stuff, or khaki. So I'm not so fussed about using too much mud on these. But I could use this stuff instead of using the khaki dry brush, either or. It looks probably a bit better actually. I might just use this instead of khaki. Well, let's experiment. Let's find out. That's what tonight's all about. Elder Eric, happy Friday. Enjoy your Command and Colours games. Thanks, Eric. I'm enjoying playing them. I haven't actually played one in ages. I haven't got any lined up for a while because I've been doing other stuff. Cheers, Fred. Looks good, thank you. I do need to go back to it and actually do some more Command and Colours. So, because I'm trying to finish off all the original, all the scenarios in the core box, and I think there was about 4 left to do. I was up to number 12, maybe 11 or 12. So it was a case of should go back and do those. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. The look of that, actually, I think that looks a lot better than if normally I'll dry brush khaki over the top of the bottom just to give them a bit of a tide line. But I think that looks a lot better, actually. I don't know if you can see it from the point of view of the camera. I don't know where the point is where it starts to focus, I'm afraid. Where are you? But it does look like dried mud, as it says. So I think I will actually just leave those without doing anything else to them. It's all about experimentation. And there you go. That's just showing you right there how to experiment. I've still got to paint the crew and stuff, so I'm going to do that tonight as well. And then I've also got that came in the post the other day, these French Napoleonics that you can just see here on the back end. There's 30 odd of them. So we've got, so I'll probably base those as well tonight, and then I can paint them over the weekend, or try to paint them over the weekend. Whether that will be a video or not. What I was thinking of doing was taking the footage from this live stuff and basically slicing it together, putting it all together into a video for actually the process of painting these things. Because I've already got it then. What did you say there, Fred? A matte finish a khaki around the extreme edges should make it pop. Yeah, that's true. Use a desert weathering pigment on my 15mm Africa core. You could not tell that, have. Yeah, it can be quite subtle. It works better on larger models, on 1/35th scale vehicles, I think. Weathering pigments can certainly be pretty subtle. And I would have thought as well, desert vehicles are probably already going to be the same color as the sand pigments, so it's not going to be a great difference really. Whereas if you did this on, say, a Panzer grey one, you would see the difference massively between the Panzer grey and the mud or the dust. Okay. Troy Otway, will these appear in future games of O Group? Most likely, to be honest. Troy, they're not earmarked for anything particular. They're just additions to existing forces. But because they're my newest ones, if I am using German Panzer Grenadiers in with the if I'm using Panzer Grenadiers with half track support, then I probably will just pull them out because they're my latest ones and I want to use them on the table. So they're. I mean, the next thing I want to do with O Group, and I was kind of thinking about it this weekend, but I decided not to. I'm gonna have a bit of a break from games. I want to play some other games rather than make video games. But I'm wanting to look at doing Malaya as the next big thing for O Group. So I played a game of the Battle of Gurun last weekend and really enjoyed it. And we'd previously, me and my mates, we'd done the entire Malayan campaign, but with rapid fire. So I want to see how it works with O Group. Right, that's them pretty much. The mud pigment went on nicely for my Panzer Grenadiers units for Russia. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, but probably not for the Africa Corps. But right, well, I'm chuffed with them actually. I'm going to leave them as they are, I think. They're looking old and weathered and battle worn. So I'm going to leave those. They're just going to get a spray varnish in a bit, but I'm going to have to do all the crew first of all before I do everything else, and then put them all together and I'll spray them all together. So again, I also started working on the crew as well over the last day or so, just to get ahead of myself. But I'm back now to finish these off. So these are okay. Cheers, Fred. I currently haven't got Twitter on the moment just because I'm trying to keep bandwidth down at the moment. I'll check you later. Cheers, though. So these are the crew. We've got quite a few of these I want to use, obviously. I don't really know why I bother painting the drivers because you can't actually see them once they're in, but at least I know it's been done. And that's the main thing. So for flesh, I'll normally use tan yellow, or at least for Caucasian flesh. I'll use tan yellow because I think it's a better look for flesh than any of the so-called flesh tones that the various companies do. So that would be very cool. Well, yeah, it'd be nice to do it, and I'm looking forward to trying it out, Malaya, if I can. Let's say that's the plan. That is the plan. There's quite a few battles. I don't think we ever got further than the Battle of Slim River. No, we got down to, where did we get to? The Battle of Patani Bridge, I think, was the last one that we got to. And there's loads more that we never got around to actually fighting. There's about 10. Problem is, though, I find with the campaign videos, people watch the first few and then they kind of seem to lose a bit of interest as the campaign goes on. I found it with the Kursk one, the very first for the chain of command. The first ones are get loads of views, and then like the one I posted today, nobody's interested in it. It's like they've all lost interest. Have a bit of staying power, people. So it might be one of those things that I do around other things as well. But I certainly want to play more O Group. Really enjoy it. Really think it's a great game. Kevin, you watched it. Good man. Oh yeah, I mean, people watched him. They certainly did watch him, but I just noticed the drop off in it. But I also this week as well put up a review of O Group, and that got quite a lot of interest, which was nice. But that's because it's a brand new game, isn't it? And people are interested in how it plays, and they want a review of it. So you have to be quite topical with videos for people to get into them, I guess. So the crew are pretty easy to paint because there's not a great deal on them actually, which is nice because half their equipment is covered up anyway because of the fact they're sat down. So it's a pretty simple job really of just working your way through and painting all these bits and pieces, and then I'll ink wash them in Agrax Earthshade, my saviour. And then generally all I do after that is I'll just pick out the flesh again. I don't bother doing highlights. The Agrax seems to work pretty well as a for that. And don't worry, I'm still here. I'm just concentrating. I'll probably get to a point where I can't do a great deal more because once I've got the Agrax on these, I'm going to have to wait for them to dry, and that's going to take a while. So these might end up getting finished off in the morning, but that's no great pain. I don't have any plans for this weekend particularly. The only thing I'm probably going to do is play some games of Arkham Horror card game, I think. Finish off the campaign that I'm playing at the moment. That's the plan. Right, that's the flesh done. Next up, it's the black. The black. Oh, that bloke from the Fast Show. The black. The black mother. You say you're hoping to throw dice, Fred. Well, I think we all are. That's not going to happen for a while in the UK, I don't think. At least not until I've got my second vaccination. Which hopefully won't be very long off. So yeah, that's just a case of hitting all these belts and buckles and things. This is the biggest pain on me. Okay, well, I'm not reading that out because I want to keep my monetization. First club meeting in a year, maybe a lot of happy gamers there. Yeah, well, I hope you keep your distance from one another. But yes, I'm sure there will be. So I joined the club just before we went into lockdown. I managed to get down there twice, and then we locked down, so I haven't been back since. And I paid 15 quid for my subs as well. Never mind. It'll all open again at some point in the future. I'm certain of it. My cat has come to join me. She sat behind. She could obviously hear me talking. Sat behind me, staring at me, wondering why I'm not giving her any attention. What do you say there? 1 second. Going back to Napoleonics, got any recommendations for a 28mm range? What would be a good place to start? All those belts and straps scares death out of me. Yeah, don't do them in 28. That's my recommendation. Do them in 6. But for 28mm, I don't think you can do any damage by buying the Perry stuff. I think they're probably some of the best on the market, or at least the ones I've seen. I'm not a 28mm man myself, but they are certainly nice figures. And I think Tom Egan over on Twitter at the moment is painting some, so it might be worthwhile checking him out and see how they look. But they do both plastic and metal, the Perrys, and I mean, their figures are just lovely anyway. You know what you're getting with the Perry stuff. But all my Napoleonics are either 15 or 6mm. So it's not an area I know. I've hardly got any figures in 28mm, in fact. What do you say, Kevin? I'd look at the PSC for some early world gym and infantry and equipment. Think about Fallschirmjägers. Yeah, I've got a load of Fallschirmjägers, but they're mostly Peter Pig, I think. In fact, they're all Peter Pig. And I bought them maybe, I don't know, 20 odd years ago now, 25 years ago. I just stripped them with Dettol and repainted them. Hey Paul, good to see you here. How are you doing? Enjoying the live streams. Hoping your enthusiasm will get your painting mojo back. Good stuff. That's what we want. Get yourself painting now. Join in and enjoy. And your club they'll be opening in July. Well, it's not too long to wait, really, I guess. Better safe than sorry, I think. We've been at it this long. At this point, well, I'm sure we can wait on a little bit longer. Membership will be going up, yeah, because I guess everybody's desperate to actually get a game in, so I'm sure people will be. Now people have turned to the internet, they will have found out about the clubs. All these newfound hobbies people got. So Paul, you said you've got no painting enthusiasm. What happened? Just dropped off? No, mine does sometimes. Sometimes you can't always keep at it. Got to occasionally take a break, and then when you go back to it, you realise how much you enjoy it. I think if you're just painting for painting's sake, there's not a great deal of point, really. Work, yeah, the dreaded four-letter word. Always gets in the way, especially if you're tired at the end of the day. The last thing you want to do is pick up a paintbrush. But I always find it just helps you relax as well at the end of the day. Even just half an hour, 15 minutes. An Argentinian battalion almost done. How many men's in the battalion? An Argentinian for Falklands, I guess. What game is it for? Was the other question. What rules? 24, 28 mil. Falklands? Or an earlier Argentine war? Army of the Andes, 1817. Well, that's obscure. Didn't even know that there was an Army of the Andes in 1817. See, every day's a school day. As much as I do like 15mm, it is a real pain in the arse painting all the straps and stuff on the Germans. I wish they had fewer. The liberation of Chile. That's interesting. What rules are you using for that? Sharp practice? Or something else? I suppose if it's a battalion, it won't be sharp practice, will it? Because that would be a battalion would be 800 figures, not 24. I just realised I missed a couple of bits of flesh on these from the first pass. That'll go back, paint them up. Don't forget, get out there, share this on your socials, and share the link elsewhere. Get it on your Twitters and your Facebooks. Yeah. It's the Y-frames on the back of these things that really does my head in. What do you say there, Paul? I'm basing so I can use sharp practice. Republic to Empire or Grand Army. Yeah. It's always good to have a mix of uses, isn't it, for figures? I find, because that's where you'll always find somebody who's got a rule set that you can use with them. Use them with. Always makes things a lot easier for you. Just looking at these and whether I need to paint a lot of these ones. I probably don't, to be honest. I probably only need a set just to sit in one of the vehicles. I noticed I've missed his hand. Rectified that now. I do need to do the drivers here. Evening, Andrew. Good to see you. 1 second. What are you working on tonight? Tonight, Matthew, I'm working on these half tracks, German half tracks. You can see them here. You missed the first part of the weathering. Evening. But I pretty much finished those now. I'm just painting the crew, and then I'll be working on. I'll be probably start work on some of these French as well once I've done the crew here. I just want to get these out of the way and off the table. But I don't think I'm going to get them finished tonight. So it'll be minimal work in the morning. A nice Saturday morning job. Get these painted up. Yes, French Napoleonics. The ones that arrived in the post the other day. All I've done so far is put them on the bases. I need to do the actual base, finish the bases off with polyfiller, and then I'll not be able to do anything with them for a while because the polyfiller will take 24 hours to dry, so they're going to be sat there for a bit as well. What other weapons have we got on here? So I'll tell you what, I need to do the gear that these guys are carrying, or at least the gear that he's carrying. I don't think anybody else has got anything on. Yeah, there's a couple of gas mask cases here. That's the gas mask cases. Now I need to go back because of chocolate brown on the water canisters, canteens. I realise I've missed a load of black as well off these ones. Come back and do that in a sec. Getting to the point now where I can't actually get hardly any more paint onto this wet palette. So that's going to have to go in the bin soon enough. I've still got wet paint on it, so I don't want to throw it away just yet. Well, who are we going here? Tim Cater said, enjoying painting along. Finished a unit of British Napoleonic Dragoons. 172nd. Very pleased, as I think they're perhaps the best units I've yet painted. It seems that one painting just improves. Well, that's true. Practice makes perfect. It just goes on and on and on. The stuff that I was painting 30 years ago is nothing like what I'm painting now, but even now there's still plenty of room for improvement. And Andrew, you're working on Austrians for short practice. They should be dead easy, shouldn't they? They're just white Austrians. Hardly anything else to them, is there? Apart from the wood of the stocks of their guns. No, of course. They're probably a lot more difficult than that. If I was doing them in 6mm, they would just be white. That's not a route I've gone down yet. Well, I've got 6mm, but I haven't got 6mm Austrians. The problem is with my wife living in Austria, it gives me a chance to go and see some of the battlefields, and then I'll start getting interested in it, and then I'll start thinking, oh, I should get some Austrians. And then before you know it, another rabbit hole has appeared in front of you. And nobody wants that. Outlining all those white cross belts. There's a pain in the ass in 15mm, God, yeah. Do you not? I would probably undercoat them in black and then just paint the white over the top rather than doing an outline. But that was you should get some Austrians. Well, maybe one day. Maybe one day. I've only just started on my 15mm Napoleonic Odyssey, so it's something that I might do in the future. I might look into some of the 1809 battles. So the thing is, once you've got the French, they'll fight anybody. So it doesn't really matter, does it? There's only slight variations in uniform, really, I suppose, from 1809 to 1815. I know there is, before I get inundated with comments about it, but, you know, from a wargaming table perspective, you know, somebody in blue is French, somebody in any other colour is not French. No, I can't find my gunmetal now. So that's yeah, that's what you do. Still a pain. Yeah, I can imagine it's a pain just because it's because the white is quite a thin colour, isn't it? Really, so you have to do it a couple of times over the top. It's not. You know what I'm going to do? It's not a paint that you can use easily. I'm going to use my magic little stirrer because this gunmetal is forever not stirred. This is a great thing that I bought the other day. It came in the post. The little vibrator. So get this plugged in. And this does a marvellous job of mixing paints. Now you watch, it'll probably go everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out the top of the paint jar so I can actually I can fix it down properly so it's not stuck up and then it won't go all over my hands. It's always a good thing to do, isn't it? You say, Kevin, some years ago I sat over a 2-week Christmas period in 15mm Austrians for the Napoleonic period. They only came out twice. Did not play with them ever again. Don't even look at Napoleonics now. Well, I try to be quite selective about what armies I've got, what armies I'm painting, or what I'm using, or what I'm doing. I mean, my wargaming mainstay is World War II, the Second World War by far, with the First World War coming in close. And the reason I painted the 6mm Napoleonics is because I've always had a hankering to do Napoleonics, but has always been frightened stiff of doing all the lacing like Andrew. So I'd never bothered. So I did it in 6mm because you can cut loads of corners. And it also meant that I could use them in Blucher as well, which is a great game for exactly that. But I mean, it was a hard enough task painting 6,006mm. So God knows what it would have been like if I was painting even half the amount in 15mm. Loads of corners, yeah. There's hardly any lace on a 6mm figure. But then there are some people that paint them like that. I mean, you know, people like Pear and stuff. You know, it's crazy the amount of detail he puts on them. Because for Pear's painting, charity painting thing they did last year, I painted a set of dragoons for him, and he did way more, way more than I would normally do on my 6mm. You say, Andrew, I have an entire 6mm Austrian Army white rattle can. There's a black and black. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's a much simple, more simple process. And Troy, as Napoleonic novice, I still really enjoy Blucher. Me too. I think it's a great game, and it's the reason why I got into Napoleonics. When I was a kid, when I say kid, I was like 14. I just got into wargaming. My first love was Napoleonics, and I used to have thousands of the Eschi plastic soldiers, and we used to play our own rules. I can't remember them now, but we played it to death. We used to play the 100 Days campaign to death, and ever since I got rid of them when I was an older teen, I swapped them for a load of Second World War figures. I've always been on the lookout for a Napoleonic game, and the problem is I played Shaco years ago. The problem is with a lot of the Napoleonic games I've found is there's just too much detail in it about how big the units are and stuff, and Blue Shade just completely cuts all that crap out. I just want to move figures about, big units around, brigades. I don't care if they're in square or not, because that's what the men on the ground are doing. You're an army commander. Napoleon wasn't running around making sure the young guard were in square, was he, during Waterloo? Like, are the 21st Division? Are they all doing the thing they're supposed to be doing? You just expect them. Also, I painted 648 Austrian battalions. Was losing the will to live. I can imagine. Gave it to a mate in the end. Vowed to never paint white uniforms again. That was until I started this South American project. Well, you're a glutton for punishment, aren't you? That's the answer there, I think. Now, you see what I'm doing here? I've got this little paint mixer. It's for tattoo artists. But Luke of Luke Apps was using it the other day, so I've been looking into them. And strangely enough, my mate, he sent me a message just completely out of the blue and said he'd bought one, apropos of nothing, and said it was the best thing he'd got. So that kind of prompted me as well. But basically, it's just a little vortex shaker. Stick the paint on, and it's the best stirred paint I've ever had. I've been stirring paint by hand for 30 years, and it's never come out as good as it does out of this thing. Right, well, let's have a look at that, see how that's done. I'm only going to be using this on about 4 guns. There we go. Nicely stirred paint. Right, let's unplug that before it burns the house down. Tattoo ink mixer, that's exactly it. It's literally only found out about them myself about 3 weeks ago. As I was saying, my mate also bought one around the same time as I was thinking of buying one. So it must be psychically linked. As I say, I've literally spent all that time mixing this up, but this paint in particular is a really old. I've had this for about 25 years. It's an old Humbrol acrylic. It's probably one of the first acrylics I ever bought. It's never gone dry in all that time, but it's a real bugger once it settles. The paint pigment and the whatever it is, the fixer stuff in it, just completely separates, and it takes ages to actually mix it. But I've just mixed it with that now, and that is the best I've ever seen it mixed. So happy days. Best 25 quid I've ever spent. Well, one of the best 25 quids I've ever spent. Who else needs their guns painting? As I said, I think that was it actually. Oh no, I need to actually paint the guns themselves. These are the spare guns that I'm going to be sticking on the vehicle as well. Just get these painted up. I paint a lot of stuff on the sprue if I can. just a lot easier, because you can always go back and paint over the tiny bits where you clip them off if you need to. Well, like I said, we've got 12 people watching. Well, everybody's talking, so do say hello if you're there. It's nice to know who's here and who isn't. We've been on an hour. I don't even know what time it is. 8:30. Yeah, tonight I'm currently aiming to try to get as much of these done as possible, so there's less to do in the morning. These half tracks at least, but I'm not going to get them finished tonight. That's for sure. But I'll try to get as much painted and hopefully get these guys ink washed at least as well. There's only a couple more bits left to do on them, and then once they're ink washed, they'll just sit there overnight. Cheese and bread. Just ordered a mixer. Save a fortune on rebuilding. And back to the old parts. And now I need my middle stone. Actually, khaki I think will suffice here. Just need to paint a couple of the German. Well, I don't even know if they've actually got anything on them that need painting. Oh no, there it is. I've also got to get that gun metal out as well because I missed a couple of things. It's the problem. I always find out if I miss things first time around, especially when I'm painting a lot of different sprues anyway. I normally don't paint this haphazardly. I'll usually try just to do one colour and one pass. It's a lot easier when you've got all the figures in front of you rather than scattered about like this on sprues. So I don't normally paint like this, but because these are crew and they don't have bases, the easiest way is just to paint them on the sprue. So that's what I do. So I'm just painting their tent halves now. So that is going to be khaki with chocolate brown and then green over the top of that. Just ever so slight, tiny camo colours. There we are. That's them done. So I need to go back and do the gun metal on a couple of things there anyway. And because I've missed out on that bloke's LMG. Also missed his hand as well. Just painting in the field canteens as well at the top of their packs. Notice I've missed that bloke's hand, so I'm just going to paint that in. It's like I'm jumping about with all these different things. I don't know if you can hear the neighbour's dogs barking away, frightening my cats. And oh yeah, these need khaki on their putties. Gaiters, I suppose. They're gaiters, not putties, are they? footies of British First World War. And Indian as well. They're very noisy, them dogs. I'm almost done with these now. Right. And one thing I forgot to do was the stocks on these MG42s and 34s, so I'll do that now. Again, you're all very quiet in the chat room. Do ask questions. Turn it into an Ask Me Anything session. Nearly there with these. Last few. When is the next sharp practice game? When you say next, you mean first, because I haven't played it yet. And it will be as soon as I get these French finished. That's the plan. Because I've got enough British and Nassau for the scenario that I want to play. I just don't have the French yet, but ta-da! We have the French. They are there. They just haven't been painted yet. So that's the plan. Get them done. I got this paint today. Bought it on eBay. Three of them, in fact. I got because I needed Middlestone. I ran out of it. I got chocolate brown because again I was running out of it. Hi, Little Legions. And where's the other one? Reflective green. I got these. Ordered them off eBay yesterday, and they arrived this morning. Can't believe how quick the service was. Unbelievable. I wasn't expecting them for at least around another few days or so. But amazing service. Yeah, it took 3 weeks for those for the French to turn up, and that was after I'd also sent them a message saying, "Can you let me know when these are going to be dispatched?" And all of a sudden, I got a message back saying, "Yeah, they've just been delivered to us, so we'll send them out soon." So I kind of think they may have forgotten about my order. I wasn't nasty in the email. I just asked, said, "Can you just give me an ETA?" But then 2 days later, they arrived. So it was either very coincidental on my part or something had happened on their part. I don't know. You try to think the best of people. Little Legions is busy cleaning up footsore late Romans. Okay. Paul, I really like sharp practice of Mexican American war armies and Cape Wars. Shoza versus British. A bit of a chore. What makes you so interested in the those obscure wars, Paul? You seem to have quite a South American slant there. Well, Zoza? Where's Zoza? I don't know what it is actually. Is that Africa? What scale of Nassau? 15 mil. Kevin, you should know that by now. 15 or nothing. 15 mil or GTFO. I'm weird. Well, I think we all are. We all try to find our own little niches, don't we? Because there's a lot of, like, you know, everybody has Napoleonic French, everyone has Second World War German, everyone has, you know, British paratroopers. South Africa was those. I thought it might be African. And it's nice to have something that a lot of people are. War games are all weird. That is very true. I don't think anybody said anything truer than that, to be honest, Andrew. Right, so I'm just going to blast the hair dryer just to dry these off quickly. Because that's why I've got Second World War Romanians, because you know nobody else had got them, and you kind of set the task for yourself to actually find these things, don't you? That's part of it. Right, who does Romanians in 6 mil? Oh, irregular, because they do everything. Next game of Blucher. That's a good question, actually, Andrew. I was thinking about doing another Blucher video. I just haven't had a chance for a while. I've got a load of videos after action reports backed up at the moment. So that's why I'm kind of not doing anything this weekend, video-wise, apart from maybe another. I might do another live, maybe tomorrow or Sunday or something. Depends how it goes. But I'm not playing anything. The thing is that the games that I want to, there's so many games I want to play that I just don't have time to play them all. If I was doing this full time, then I'd probably just play a different game every day or every other day. You like doing obscure. The friends I game with have the mainstream Napoleon. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? Like I say, everybody's got Napoleonic French or Second World War Germans and things. So it's nice to be able to pull out something that's just slightly different. And yeah, it's always just been. I've been looking at doing getting Hungarians for the Second World War. That's probably, and that's kind of why I wanted to do the Malaya campaign, because everybody does when they do the Second World War in the Pacific. It's always island hopping or Burma. It's like Malaya didn't exist. You know, it's a really interesting campaign. So now I am just giving these an Agrax Earthshade wash. And then, like I say, I'll not be able to do anything else with these tonight. But I'm going to move on to the French in a second. Once I've got these cleaned up, once I've got these washed, should I say. Let's see where we're at. Andrew says, what's backed up? Off the top of my head, Andrew, well, I've just finished the Chain of Command. The final season of Chain of Command for a bit. That was the Curse campaign that came to an end today, but that was actually played about 2 months ago. You can probably tell from the haircut has changed. What else have I got? I was trying to think. Let me have a look, actually. I can tell you directly. Channel dashboard. If it'll open. Taking its time. Taking its time. Never mind, I'll do it on my phone. It'll be quicker on my phone. Videos. Visibility. So I have, from the oldest to the newest, I've got the Plastic Soldier Company's heavy weapons in 15mm. That's a very short video. I just need to put that out, really. Painting 15mm First World War Germans. Scratch built trench tutorial. Caesar's Gift, Infamy, After Action Report. The Battle for Bourlon Wood, Chain of Command, First World War, AAR. Raven Feast, Ale Saga, another AAR. Painting 15mm British Napoleonics. The Introduction to Historical Wargaming, Part 4, which is where I created a table to show people how I put together terrain. O Group, Kursk, 1943. O Group, Battle of Gurun, and then the Indians in Italy, Monte Cassino for Chain of Command. So quite a few coming up. So I try to release a couple of videos a week. So that's got them backed up for at least the next month and a half. Where we at? I'm still to play Blucher. My Austrians are ready. Unfortunately, the French are a way off yet. Blucher's a great game, really good game. I really rate it. Never had a bad game of it. And like I say, the only difficulty is working out for me anyway. Is working out how to play solo during these times. I've got a method of doing it, but I do need to go back and just play a couple more games if I really enjoy it. You love my Malaya battles. Cheers, Andrew. I do as well. I have a big soft spot for Malaya. It was a theatre of the war that I had no idea about, and then I went and worked in Singapore for 6 months and found out tons about the Malaya campaign, and it really opened my eyes to it. So I was like, and then that's when I thought, I've got to war game this, because that's what wargamers do, isn't it? We find an obscure war or an obscure battle and think, oh, that would be interesting on the tabletop. Paul, the figures for Malaya I'm sending you in the post on Monday. Cheers, Paul. It's really, really kind of you. Absolutely over the moon about that, and they will get used and they will get painted at some point. You can always use more Japanese, because I was thinking about doing the landings at Kotubaru, which, if you didn't know, happened an hour before Pearl Harbor. So if anybody says that Pearl Harbor was the battle that brought the Americans or the Japanese into the Second World War, you can tell them it wasn't. The Japanese were already fighting against the British, the Dogra, on the beaches. And what else we got? True, I have some 15mm Brunswick all black part painted. My theme for Napoleonics are Austrian all white and Brunswick's all black. Yeah, Battlefronts do the Romanians, Hungarians are finished. Yeah, I've got the Battlefront Romanians already, but they don't do them anymore. I think they're out of production. I did try looking for them a while. There's Command Decision also do them as well, but they're somebody else's figures that they bought the molds for, and they're not great. They're the only ones I could find in 15mm in recent times. Great, but they do well to bulk up the figures I had, because I bought extra for I Am Being Shot one, and then and now I'll be able to use them. I'd like to do some Romanians in O Group, actually. That would be interesting. Early war fighting through Odessa and things. That would be an interesting matchup, I think. All sounds like good stuff. Cheers, Troy. I'm sure it will be. Just keep an eye on the channel, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, there'll be stuff coming out over the next couple of months at least, and as I add to it as well. Looks like lots to look forward to. Cheers, little legions. Again, same message. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the I think there's a little bell you can hit as well, which is supposed to tell you when things come up. lots more to watch. It does not look like I'll be going anywhere until late July anyway. No, I don't think. I think I'm the same as well, to be honest, Kevin. I'm not going anywhere for a while. At the moment, the only place I really want to go to is Austria and go and see my wife. But as flights are grounded and are for the foreseeable, that's not going to happen. So yeah, right now at the moment, all I'm doing is back to painting. Is I am just literally daubing the Agrax Earthshade all over these little fellas, and just wiping some of it off. And the thing is, once this stuff has dried, I really don't need to do anything else to them. I'll say I'll go back and I'll get the I'll get the flesh. I'll touch the flesh up again, just because as humans we like to look at other people's faces. So I do that just to make them look like people. But the uniforms and stuff, I don't even bother. With the Napoleonics, I've gone back and I've highlighted everything. That's why it's taking so long to paint the Napoleonics. But with Second World War stuff, I just don't bother because they're already dark, relatively dark colours anyway. There's some people like Jeff over on Twitter who does some fantastic work with 15mm figures. He uses the three colour method of, you know, a dark undercoat, highlight, and then another highlight on top of that. They look fantastic, but I just don't know the patience. I paint for the tabletop, not for Golden Demon. Not that I could paint for a Golden Demon award anyway, but I'm just going to clip these off, because otherwise I'll end up getting lost. I don't want that. So I'm going to hang on to these. I want these passengers here. I have literally no use for them whatsoever, but I'm still going to hang on to them because I'm like that. So I don't want to get rid of them because I don't want to feel like I'm getting rid of throwing something away that might one day be useful, which I'll never use ever. And I know I won't use it, but I'm still going to keep them. Mind you, in about 3 years, I'll probably have a clear out and they'll probably go then. All right. What you said there, Paul. Nearly finished a 15mm Italian Bellisaeri motorcycle company in 15mm frying bean shot them using Battlefront figures. Yeah, I use a lot of Battlefront figures. They are quite nice. So many green stuffed cockerel feathers. Just don't put them on. So they're taking them off for the campaign. My mate Dean, he's big into his Italians. He's got a lot of Italians for the Desert War. We were doing the Desert War in Rapid Fire, the early Desert War, Operation Compass. So that was interesting. That was something new. We haven't played a game of it in ages, so it'd be nice to have a look at that in probably in IMB Shopman actually. I was in Austria in late 2019. Supposed to go over to Germany for my birthday in 2020. I've been to Germany a little bit. I wouldn't say I know it at all well, but I've been to Vienna loads because my wife has lived there for the last 3.5 years now. Oh, for Russia, yeah, I'd like to actually get some for Russia as well. That's one thing wouldn't mind getting some of these Italians for Russia. Again, it's another little interesting army, isn't it? That you very rarely see, the Russians versus the Soviets. They're just these little sideshows, almost, you know, that people kind of ignore, or on the whole, wargamers ignore. Right. So now I'm going to start the bases of these Frenchies. So this is how I do it. Literally, got the polyfiller, or spangle, as it may be known in America. Spangle, spankle, or something. And then just using a flatheaded screwdriver, just smearing it on basically to make these. And these are all individually based, so these are all going to be for, as I say, for sharp practice. I think there's 36 here, so I'm going to do as many as I can be bothered to do. because this is incredibly boring, and it's the worst bit. But it's why I get it out of the way first off. I'd rather do this now than at the end of when the figures have been painted. And besides which, if you do it later anyway, you end up with polyfiller everywhere. I hope you picked up a paintbrush, Paul, while you've been sat here listening to me whittling on about nothing. You've cracked on with those Argentinians. What I'll do with these is I will probably paint these in batches of maybe, I might do them as a unit of maybe 8. The thing with compared to the British, the French are a little bit easier to paint, and I found that with the 6mm ones, I was able just to rattle through them because they're basically just blue and white. And it's the same with the 15mm. Lots of white. So what I might do, I might even airbrush them white, and then that's half of the work done. And then once it's then they're undercoated and half painted at the same time. Anything to cut corners, I think. So we've got 13 people, 12 people watching. Very quiet, some of them. So obviously Friday night, everyone's out of the pub, aren't they? Or not. Some of us are shy. I don't believe that, Andrew. I believe that for a minute. American chap Chris Strossen did a great little campaign set in the name of Roma. Italians in Russia. No painting tonight though. Painting table is also home working area and working tomorrow. Ah, that's a killer, isn't it? You need to make yourself a separate painting table. Seems like ages since I last saw you, Paul, actually. I think, wasn't it? Might it have been a fiasco? 2019, perhaps. Seems to think that might be the last time I bumped into you. With that ne'er-do-well McGurk. I did see Neil more recently than that. I think he might have been at Vamp Attack. Vamp Attack? Was it? So did you see it at Vamp Attack? No. I do apologise. It's been a strange year. I can't remember anything. I think it's going to be strange going to the next show, whenever it'll be. It's going to be an interesting experience, especially if everyone's still maxed up. I wonder if it will be. A small show in Sheffield. Chilcon? Oh, that's the one in Sheffield, isn't it now? Not Triples anymore, it's the Chilcon. And Chilcon, that was at the start of the year, wasn't it? If the planes are shut down, are the trains? No, currently the trains are still running in Austria, at least. But I think they're just stopping people coming in from the UK. Do anything else? There might still be flights, but I I don't think they're allowing flights in from the UK because we've got such a high rate of mortality over here. That's ChillCon. I was watching one of the guys from ChillCon. He was doing a live kit bash the other night on YouTube as well. Chilled Wargamers, they're called. Yeah, it was a good show, that, I thought. I think it was only his second one. We didn't. I knew about the first one, but it looked to me like a fantasy show. So me and my mates, I think it was back in about 2017, in fact, and we got flyers for it when we went somewhere else, probably Fiasco or somewhere, and we looked at it, and it looked like a fantasy show. So we just didn't bother because it was like, well, what are we going to get out of this, really? None of us are that mad into fantasy. Well, my mate is, Dean is, but myself and Mark aren't. But so we didn't go. And the first one I went to was the one. Was it the year before that one then? Or was it that? And no, it must have been that one, I suppose. I'm just trying to think back now. I'm really confused because I took my camera to film it. I'd literally just started the YouTube channel at the time, so it must have been 2019. And I took my camera and I parked up, and I was going to take the camera in and film it, and then I got really shy and bottled it and left the camera in the car. And I thought, oh, I'd look like a right idiot filming these games. Nobody will want that. So I didn't do it. And then I forgot to take it with me when I went to Vamp to the next one. That was the next show after it. But I made a slideshow, and that was one of the first videos I made was the Vamp slideshow. I think in the last 2 years it's had something like 80 views because it was rubbish. But then I pulled my finger out and I actually started filming shows from then on, and they got a really good response. It has to suck not being able to see your wife. It would drive me batty. Yeah, it does. It's a short answer. The fact that she lives in Austria is not so bad. It's the fact that we can't actually get to see her. How often do you usually get to see her? Well, when everything was hunky dory, it was every couple of months. I've not seen her since Christmas. That was the last time because she came here. She basically jumped on a plane in November before, when there was a gap that people were allowed to actually fly. So she literally jumped on a plane and was here on a Wednesday in November, and she stayed here till he's nosy. She stayed here until November. No, sorry, January. And then again, she jumped on another flight and got back again before they went into lockdown again. I'll ask away, don't worry. I always think there's no harm in asking, is there? You know, if somebody gets insulted by somebody asking something, then there's something wrong. It's as long as you're not asking anything incredibly offensive. If they don't want to answer it, just say, I'm not going to answer. Don't worry about that. As I say, pasting these things is bloody boring, but at least once it's done, and I don't have to do it ever again. Well, until the next 25 of these turn up. But this stuff will take 24 hours to dry, so I'll have to leave it till tomorrow. I'll not be able to do anything with them until then. And besides which, it's 9 o'clock anyway. I don't really want to do anything after I've done these, to be honest. I'm going to go and watch the rest of the Netflix documentary I was watching last night. This is a Robbery. Really enjoying it. Those dogs next door haven't shut up. They're still going. What would people say are their favourite videos of mine on the channel? I mean, what type? The Army Military Museum in Vienna is brilliant. Yeah, it is. The First World War section is fantastic. Really good. Andrew, you've got to watch that one. Yes, it's good. It's really good. I started watching it last night just out of curiosity, and I ended up 3 hours later still watching it. It's only because it was past my bedtime that I stopped. You mostly like the ARs, Andrew. Okay. Well, they're the ones that do get a lot. It's hard to tell. I was going to say they get a lot of views, but some of them get more views. And I make a video and I think, oh, this is going to get a lot. A lot of people are going to be interested in that, and it gets like 5 views. And then I put one thing out, and people are all over it. I guess it's whatever's flavour of the month. Because at the moment, any of the O group videos are doing really well. You like the quality of my AR, especially a lot of stuff. Cheers, Troy. Thank you. I do try to make them. I try to be as high quality as I can, but I am only one man with a camera, so I am limited in my budget and things. Chain of Command game. You like the Chain of Command games, Paul? Is that just because you like the rules, or you like the way I play them? Because I do forget half the rules. Eric, gameplay, CNC, and the live. Yeah, well, the live is something I've just started. I should have really done it earlier, but I enjoy doing it. But I kind of only just got to it, really. We'll see how we go with it. The thing is, I don't want to fill the entire channel with live videos. So it might become something like a weekly thing or something. We'll see how we go. And Andrew says, Lardy stuff is top notch. Oh, thank you. Well, they're good games. I mean, they're good rules. They're good rules and they create good games. That's the thing. You like the period from 17th to 19th century? Well, I'm afraid there's not a great deal of that, Kevin. And the Navy history, well, there's even less of that. And the AARs, the World War II stuff. And Tim Cater, good evening, Tim. How-to videos. You like the how-to videos? Okay. Well, unfortunately, I've only got a couple of those, but there are some more coming. I always think as well with videos, people like to see have instruction, don't they? And the thing is, a lot of us are wargamers, and we've been wargamers for a long time, so you kind of know how to do stuff. And you forget that there's a lot of people that don't and have never done things before. They don't even know how to set a table up, or what you should think about. Eccentric man, evening there, Ken. Good to see you. Good to have you on board. So you could go as simple as you wanted about things, and you get people who will be watching it. There'll be somebody who's never done it before and would be interested in it. There's an audience for everything, really, I think. So how-to kind of videos, instructional videos. I mean, I watch them all the time. I watch other people's all the time. So they're popular. Oh, the first part of your answer is about the museum. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Kevin. Thought you meant my 17th century to 19th century videos. Yeah, that's good. The 17th to 19th century stuff's quite good. I like the Napoleonic section in there. But it's not a period I know a great deal about. I do find it interesting, the Austrian museums, about their role in the Second World War. They're quite cagey about it. It's become almost a standing joke with me and the missus. The Second World War bits in that museum are quite good as well. There's some interesting stuff in there because they've got the the naval bit. I just remembered they've got that massive model of the cutaway boat, haven't they? In there, I can't remember what it is. And I don't know if it's a battleship or a destroyer or something. And they've got the conning tower from one of the U-boats as well. They're fantastic, really good. Yes, they are good bits. Although I don't know anything about the Navy or the Austrian Navy in particular, which is almost an oxymoron since it's a landlocked country. Well, no kidding. We were sort of watchers in World War II. True. Do you mean Americans in general? I don't know. They were hogwash. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. The first victims. It's kind of how they paint themselves. Yeah, not really. But I don't want to put off any Austrian viewers. I would like to get to see more of the battlefields, the Napoleonic battlefields in Austria. Again, Claire was at one the other day, Lobau, and she was sending me photographs of it. My wife sending me pictures on of the Napoleonic route she was walking around on. So I said, next time I'm over, we're going there. I've been out to Wagram, and unlike everywhere else in Austria, the museum only opens on a Sunday. Like literally everything in Austria closes on Sunday. Oh, and one of her friends as well, her parents, they were digging their garden. They found a French infantry button, probably from the 1809 campaign through Austria. That was nice. Must be good to be able to do things like that, just digging up military uniforms from 200 years ago in your back garden. I told you this basing these is incredibly boring. But at least I've got people to chat to while I'm doing it now. Normally I'd probably be listening to a podcast or something. And Ken, who just popped up, he was recently on one on the South Wales Warriors, I think it was, their podcast. Nothing in the US is 200 years old. Yeah. What about the First Nations, Andrew? They've only been around for about 35,000 years. I just tend to dig up half house bricks. Yeah, that's been my career in archaeology, to be honest, Ken. It's a life of sifting through other people's rubbish. But at least I'm getting through these now. As I say, what I'll do is Kevin's main interest is the Austrian-Prussian War of 1866. Hoping he goes to the battlefield last year. I know very little about it. I know Richmond 2 Fat Lardies is really interested in it. All I know is that it happened. Beyond that, nothing. What is the interest in it? What is the thing that gets you? I know Richard the 2 Fat Lardies has done some Kriegspieling of the 1866 war. I think he's probably interested in it because it's, from what I gather, it's probably like the first time really that small unit tactics start to come to the fore Oh my watching time team, it's like Roman pottery everywhere in the UK. It can be. I'll try and find something for First Nations in my garden. Most of it was those tools. Well, I know people near me are always digging up a rock and saying, "Oh look, an axe head." Yeah, I know lots of it's flint scatters, isn't it? Really, and camp debris rather than anything more permanent. Paul, Kevin, are you a member of the Continental War Society? Lots of info on 1866. There you go, Kevin. If you are or you're not. I probably really should buy some more of this stuff. That's what used to be a full pot, and I've used so much of it basing figures over the years. It's probably time to actually buy a new pot of it. You've not heard anything for a new few years. Oh, this seems to be turning into my longest live at the moment. An hour and 40 minutes of being at it, talking nonsense. Not a lot of uniforms or permanent structures from First Nation on the east coast of the US. No, certainly not. I went out to San Francisco a few years ago. My wife was presenting at a conference, the American Archaeology Association conference, big conference in the States, and it was in San Francisco. So we went out there, and while she was doing her talk, I went and had a look around San Francisco, and I went to have a look in the Bay Area Museum, and there's some really interesting stuff in there on the original First Nations folk who were in the area, and I find it incredible that, like you say, I mean, America in inverted commas is only 200 years old. I find it really interesting. Places like New York and things, the names of the places in New York, like Wall Street, because that's where the war was. And nowadays they're all just these absolutely just a massive conurbation up Manhattan. But you get places like called stuff like Flushing Meadows and things. You can just imagine, one time 200 years ago that probably was a meadow with a Flushing River running through the middle of it. Now it's just apartment blocks and tenement blocks and race courses. It's crazy to think. The development of New York as a city, I think, is fantastic because it's happened so quickly, and it's as though they took all the well, a lot of the American cities. I mean, it's as though they took the blueprint from Europe. We spent thousands of years in Europe perfecting the town and the city, and they just went to America and said, right, here we are, build this here. There you go. There's Las Vegas, right in the desert. There's your grid pattern. None of these stupid medieval streets that you can't drive a bus down. I found out the other day that the oldest house in New York is still standing. Well, not the currently the oldest house in New York. That was a farm. Where was it? I think it's up in Brooklyn somewhere. I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember how I stumbled on it either. I was just reading something probably on Wikipedia and then clicked on it, and it was oh, side wide away. Don't worry, Kevin. Don't. There's no agenda here. There's no topic. There's just talk amongst yourselves if you want to. But yeah, the oldest, I think it's the oldest farmhouse in New York, and the photos are from the late 19th century. Just show it, literally there's nothing around it at all. There's like a dirt road going to it and nothing else. And then now it's just like in the middle of this, again, red brick kind of version of New York. It's amazing. I love stuff like that. Even the art gallery in the program that I was watching last night, This Is a Robbery, that again was built literally on a swamp, and the photos of it being built again, there's nothing around it apart from the road to it. Yeah, now it's right in the center. It's in the center of a built-up area of Boston. MeWe, yeah. What is MeWe? A social media platform. Another one. I live 5 blocks from the oldest house in Shenandoah Valley. It was built in 1709. Ah, that is pretty old, isn't it, for American standards, or at least American settler standards, shall we call them? How much of it from 1709 still exists, though? How much has been built onto? That's the question, isn't it? But it's the same in places like Australia. Again, the archaeology that they do there is mostly colonial 18th and 19th century stuff, because the Aboriginal stuff is very contentious and obviously a political hot potato as well. So it's difficult. And again, it's like the Native Americans. There's hardly any remains really. It's the flint scatters and tent circles, and that's about it really. So archaeologically, it's pretty devoid. Wasn't that a song by Simon and Garfunkel, "The Oldest Surviving House in New York"? I'm not sure. I don't know Simon and Garfunkel's back catalogue, I'm afraid. So if you are joking, which you might be, I don't know, then the joke has gone straight over my head. Mostly built on the old original 1530 cabin is still there, though. Yeah. Yeah, because obviously in the past there would have things just got developed without any planning or anything, didn't it? So they just built on things. So the original would certainly be built over. Shenandoah is one of the Civil War battlefields. That much I do know. But that's about as much as I know of the American Civil War, and a few names of some of the other battles. Right, I've got 3 more of these to do, and then I'm going to sign off. So, like I say, I'll finish those Germans off in the morning, get them done, and then so my next big project is going to be these French, I think. Oh, the only living boy. There you go. See, I didn't know it was a joke. I could tell from your tone it was a joke. I just didn't get it. So there's no flies on me. Right, we are getting there, and it is 20 past 9 anyway. So I'll go and watch my documentaries on Netflix, and then that's me done for the night. As I say, I don't think I'm going to play any games no, I'm not going to make any videos this week. But then I say that, and I'll probably end up making one on Sunday or something. 1709 is anything older in my town, Andrew. Anything earlier was obliterated in the 19th century. Well, that's an issue as well, isn't it? Like here in Sheffield, although the city was thriving from medieval times, it all went in the 19th century industrial revolution. You just don't see anything anymore of anything pre about 1850, really, because they just built back-to-back houses, and when they built them, they had to dig everything else out, and then they did all the slum clearances and everything as well. So there's probably not that many places actually in Britain where you do actually get 1709 dated buildings, I would have thought. There's a few where you get some places like in York where you might get some from the 15th, 16th century, I guess, but they're relatively rare. You placed an order with a local game store for the 12th when it opens. A bit of a pile, nice. Something to look forward to, eh? That's what you want. There's nothing wrong with that. And these are the times to do it, since nobody's been anywhere for the last year. Right, well, as I say, that's them done. That's 36. I think there's 36 French there. So when they're done, there's going to be enough for a game of sharp practice. So it probably won't be very long before I'm actually trying it out. And as I already know how to play Infamy, I have read sharp practice. I recognise quite a lot between the two, so I don't think it's going to be a great difficulty on my part to actually play it. And yes, that's good of you, Ken. Keep them going. Cheers, Paul. And goodbye to you as well, and same to you, Kevin. Dancing Pop Plat, something 1709. I was a Rotherham joke in there, but I'm too tired to think of it. Hi, Tom. Cheers, Eric. Thanks to you as well. How long have you been there, Tom? Quite a while, I bet. Right. Anyway, good night, everybody. I'll schedule another video for another time, but I've enjoyed your company, and it's got me through this horrible basin. Oh, you just arrived. Sorry, Tom, I'm just about to leave. I've been at it for 2 hours. I've fallen to sleep. And my cat's getting restless. So before you all leave, you might as well just at least see the cat. There you go. Right. I shall see you all soon. Take care and goodbye.